The Lord loved us so much that in our poverty, in our hell, I'm going to come and deliver the broken, destroyed, messed up, poor, impoverished people. I'm going to save.
Young niggas ain't tough. Young niggas ain't tough.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Bashim Yah Shah Brakatah. Yahweh Shema Allah Thug Bashim Yah Shah to all the sisters, man. Listen, it's Captain 13,000, the card of a rhyme, checking in with the Israelite School of U.P.K. under Commander Junior Hunter.
And you know we not no cowards. Oh, you on that?
Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. Hold on. I'm gonna say it one more time. This year's 52nd annual Passover under Commander Junior Hunter under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know the Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's gonna be in H-Town, baby.
It's gonna be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
2021 I.S.U.P.K. 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses, you understand? Strong on deck. That One West style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Get with it to get lost, man.
Got it out the mud, straight up out the base. The world done made me crazy. The world done turned crazy.
You dealing with the men of war. We at war. I'm siding with the Lord, of course. On one accord. We ain't never stopping now. You running now. All my niggas go to ground. We go.
Shalom, Yahweh Shem Shabbat, increase in all 5,000 come here. We are out of DC. This is I.S.U.P.K. I'm under Commander Junior Hunter out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. It is a glorious day, a glorious memorial today, man. It's about PURIM. We're remembering our past and what our people went through. You know, this is not, some pagan Christmas holidays, not Easter things. This is not a celebration of a false god or a memory of the slaughter of our people like Thanksgiving. This is a memory and a memorial of of the sister, the beautiful sister who listened to her uncle or her guardian, a devout Benjamite named Mordecai. And he gave her orders, and she listened to her guardian. And with her being obedient, she saved Israel, man.
Right.
She saved her nation. And we're going to start in Esther. We're going to start in Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. All right. It's important to remember Israel's memorials and the Lord's our holy days. So it brings us closer to who we are, and we'll remember our culture and our traditions and why we do it. And moreover, through these, we will remember the Lord,
Right.
And forget and take our love from our oppressor. Our oppressor and love the Lord more.
Right.
All right. You got it already.
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass in the days of Ahasuerus, which reigned from India even unto Ethiopia.
Right.
Oh,
if you look at a map, that's a big order right now, you know, that's a big part of land, like from India being at the bottom all the way up to I'm sorry, from India, where Asia is at, all the way down to Ethiopia. That's a big part of land. That's where he ruled. Go ahead.
Come. Over in 120 provinces.
Mm-hmm.
That in those days, when the king Ahasuerus sat on the throne of his kingdom, which was in Shushan, the palace. In the 3rd year of his reign, he made a feast unto all his princes and his servants, the power of Persia and Media.
Right. So this brother here has a feast. Go ahead.
Come. The nobles and princes of the provinces being before him.
Mm-hmm.
When he showed the riches of his glorious kingdom and the honor of his excellent majesty many days, even in 180 days. And when these days were expired, the king made a feast unto all the people that were present in Shushan, the palace.
Right. So all the people that came to Shushan, it was on, bro. Shalom. Lord Christ. Good to see you. All right. Go ahead.
Both until great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace.
Right, so this king is having a big feast. He's showing, you know, everybody's there in Shushan, seeing his glorious majesty and seeing his province. A province is divisions of certain countries and empires. That's what a province is. And this king ruled over, it said about 104 scores. A score is 20. 4 times 20 is 80.
Right.
This king ruled over 180 provinces, which is about 180 countries or empires. America is only 50 countries.
Right.
This king ruled over 180 empires or countries. That's what a province is. Go ahead.
Come.
Go ahead.
If I could, sir, and this king that you talk about is more popularly known as Artaxerxes. He's very popular in the movie 300.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the same king that
the tall, skinny one?
Right, come on.
There's Xerxes.
Xerxes. It's also called Xerxes. So
right.
They go by different names, but just to give some context, that's who he is, you know. And he, till this day, they show him on the big screen as a god.
Right.
Because that's how large he was in the time in which he was ruling.
Go ahead.
Come. Both until great and small, 7 days, in the court of the garden of the king's palace, where were white, green, and blue hangings fastened with cords of fine linen and purple to silver rings and pillars of marble.
So they have all these beautiful things, and you know, you're rich, and it's just showing the glory of his kingdom and his court and his castles or buildings. How it had marbles or pillars, and it had linens and fine purples and everything. It was a beautiful sight to see.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come.
Just like any party or anything you go to, you go to a party, you decorate it for the party.
Right.
But this one is on another level. This is a king. He's rich. So he got fine linens and fine colors and marble. Go ahead.
Come. The beds were of gold and silver, upon a pavement of red and blue and white and black marble.
Glorious, man. When you go to some, we be happy to have a marble counter in our kitchen, man. Right. This brother got marble pillars.
Right.
It's beautiful. Go ahead.
Come. And they gave them drink in vessels of gold, the vessels being diverse one from another.
All right, go ahead.
And royal wine in abundance, according to the state of the king.
Royal wine. Go ahead.
And the drinking was according to the law. None did compare, for so the king had appointed to all the officers of his house that they should do according to every man's pleasure.
Go ahead.
Also, Vashti, the queen, made a feast for the women in the royal house, which belonged to the king Ahasuerus.
Right. So Ahasuerus, or better known as Xerxes, she has a let me see. She has a feast for the woman. Go ahead.
On the seventh day, when the heart of the king was merry with wine, he commanded Mehuman, Bistar, Harbona, Bigthar, and Agbatha, Zathar, and Carcass, the 7 chamberlains that served in the presence of Ahasuerus the king.
The chamberlains, these were men that ruled. These were men that the king would hire as men that watched over his wives. That's what a chamberlain is. Usually, a chamberlain is somebody you can trust, because you're a man. You gotta trust. You trust another man to watch over the house of your wives.
Right.
This man could, it's like any other man. He can have that lust or that temptation to have sex with another one of your wives, but he doesn't do it. Usually, the best thing to do, they try to pick a man that's wounded. He was wounded in war. His private area was wounded. He can't use it no more. That's the best chamberlain.
Right.
Go ahead.
So, if I may, sir, and this is why it's so wicked for our brothers and sisters to be Muslims, because the Arabs historically used to make our brothers eunuchs. Like, they used to cut off our brothers' stones,
right, and
put them in charge of their harems.
Right.
So for us to be Muslim, it's crazy when that's what the Arabs did to our people.
That's crazy. That's just disgusting, man. Go ahead.
Verse 11. To bring Vashti, the queen, before the king with the crown royal, to shew the people and the princes her beauty.
Right, so here it is. Now here's the king. The king showing off. The king got beautiful pillars of marble, got gold, got linen. And he said, you know what? Let me bring out my queen.
Right.
So everybody can see my queen. Go ahead.
Come. For she was fair to look on.
Because she was fair to look on. Let me show everybody my beautiful wife, my beautiful queen. Go ahead.
Come. But the queen Vashti refused to come at the king's commandment.
But she refused to come. And this was her downfall. And we're gonna see why. The beginning of Esther is a good lesson on a punishment on a disobedient wife. Or if your woman is disobedient, this is a good lesson that she can learn. Go ahead.
Come. By his chamberlains. Therefore was the king very wroth.
Right, the king mad. The king tell his queen to come out, and she tell him, "Nah, I'm not coming out." What? So I got a big party. Everybody's enjoying themselves. Everybody's here in my palace at Shushan. You feeling like the man? You the king. You feeling all glorious, and you got a hard-headed woman. That'll blow you. That'll blow your mind.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come. And his anger burned in him.
Go ahead.
Then the king said to the wise men, which knew the times, for so was the king's manner toward all that knew law and judgment. And the next unto him was Karshina, Shathar, Admatha, Tarshish.
He's like, let everybody know where you at.
Come.
Awesome.
The book of Esther, chapter 1, verse 14.
We in Esther, chapter 1, verse 14. Go ahead.
Come. And the next unto him was Karshina, Shathar, Admatha, Tarshish, Meres, Masina, and Memucan, the 7 princes of Persia and Media.
Right. So now the king is here. He got princes, and he got other people that's under him, but they're also royal and in power. Go ahead.
Come. Which saw the king's face, and
they see the king was very angry. Go ahead.
And which sat the first in the kingdom. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti?
Right. So these 7 princes under the king, they see that he's angry. They said, man, what we gonna do about this? And we're gonna find out why. These 7 princes seen that the king's queen was disobedient and did not listen to her king. And they knew that something had to be done with it.
Right.
That something had to be done about that. Right. What's your name, brother?
Jose.
Jose. Why do you think they said that?
I'm just trying to get caught up.
Okay, now you put that in the pocket. We in the Bible.
Oh, in the Bible.
Yep. We in the book of I.S.U.P.K, chapter 1, verse 13. But see if you can just give it a shot. If a king is having a party, you ask your queen to come out, she doesn't come out, and now you're upset because she's being disobedient to you. And you got 7 princes beside you. They see it. They see that you're angry, and they ask you, "Look, what are we going to do about this?" She didn't listen to you. Why do you think they asked him that?
Because he's the head.
And why? Yeah. And why do you think? That's right. That's the first thing you just said. That's correct. Give him a hand. That's correct because he's the head. And because he's the head, that's important. And what do you think? Another reason why? Like, why would they ask him? Like, what are we gonna do about it? Why should something be done about that?
It's a public display, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And she disrespected them, so punishment got to be handed down.
Give him a hand. So the brother Jose said the reason the princess asked what are we going to do about this is because he's the head. So the head, everybody looks up to him. Everybody looks up to whoever the leader is. And then also what he said was what? He said it was a public display. So now the whole public is seeing this. Is seeing your queen not listen to you, be disobedient.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come. Verse 15. What shall we do unto the queen Vashti according to law? Because she have not performed the commandment of the king Ahasuerus by the chamberlains.
Right. Go ahead.
And Memucan answered before the king and the princes, Vashti, the queen, have not done wrong to the king only.
Right. So look, the queen was she disobeyed one man, but she did not just wrong that one man.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay. But also to all the princes and to all the people that are in all the provinces of the king Ahasuerus.
Now because this one queen did not listen to the king, she not only wronged him, she wronged the princes too. Why is that?
They're the next to the line of rule.
Right, but why? I'm giving. I know you know. I'm give him a. Go ahead.
I don't know. I don't know other than that.
You don't know what? Okay. This is the thing. Okay, we're gonna read. We got to find out. Go ahead, read on.
Come. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women. So
read it again.
For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
What do you think that means?
Women, the rest of the women will be punished because of what she did.
No, the rest of the women not gonna be punished. The rest of the women. Read it one more time.
Come. For this deed of the queen shall come abroad unto all women.
What do you think that means?
There's gonna be a lesson to all women.
This thing will be abroad to all women. Meaning this. What she did, all women gonna look at her and do the same thing she did. That's why it's very important. That's why it's very important that we have a leader and our leader be righteous. Right. And also the man, we have righteous women because the other women gonna look up to that queen.
Right.
So the same thing in the black community right now. Most of our sisters look up to who? Celebrities. But most of those celebrities are not. And they don't represent themselves well. Well, they just start with something simple. They may not dress well, or they may not sing or rap about things that are well. They may rap about hoeing, or they might dress like or not dress properly, not dress modestly, like the sisters in the I.S.U.P.K do. So that's what it's about. That's why this scripture right here is so important. Because it's showing you that if the woman looking at the king's wife, the king's queen, and say, "Hold on, wait a minute." Well, she told her husband, "No, I'm not a queen. But I'm looking up to her. She's my inspiration. I can tell my king no." Just like Beyonce came out with Lemonade and she was mad at Jay-Z. All the sisters was mad at they mad too. Just because Beyonce was mad at her man.
Right.
So that it shows you the example of a woman on a high status and how women will look at that woman in high status and mimic her deeds,
right,
and mimic her actions.
Right.
So that's why blacks, Latinos, and American Indians, and black men, we gotta have proper leaders. That's what we got Commander YAHANNA.
That's right.
YAHANNA, Jeremiah, Jenazian,
right.
SHALAM, Jimmy we got Captain War. We got Captain the Shop. We got Captain Zaria, Captain Athah. You get what I'm saying? And all the other glorious captains, man. Captain Orion, man.
That's right.
We got all the other, so many brothers that's examples. And then, they make sure. And if you see, you might see brothers. You see these brothers' wives, and see these brothers' wives represent them. So of course, they gonna have their act together. And sisters see other women how they act, and they get along. The sisters in here, they get along, and we all fall in one line. Right. We ain't different. We all acting the same. You know what I'm saying? The brothers over me, that's the way we try to mimic them and be disciplined, just like them. The sisters in here, they get along with the program. They see, okay, I have to dress like this. I have to act like this. I have to say, come on, come. So right here in this story here, the queen was being disrespectful to her and disobedient. So the princess knew before this go far, right now, we ain't gonna let this night pass. Right now, we got to deal with this right now. Read on.
Come. So that they shall despise their husbands in their eyes.
See, so the queen, the queen disrespect her queen. I mean her king. Our wives gonna despise their husbands. Go ahead.
Come.
So that queen got to be punished for what she did because she's supposed to be setting an example, but she did not set an example.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come. When it shall be reported, the king Ahasuerus commanded Vashti, the queen, to be brought in before him, but she came not.
Right.
Likewise, shall the ladies of Persia and Media say this day unto all the king's princes.
See, likewise, go ahead.
Come. Which have heard of the deed of the queen, thus shall there arise too much contempt and wrath.
Right. Go ahead.
Verse 19. If it please the king, let there go a royal commandment from him, and let it be written among the laws of the Persians and the Medes.
Right. So now they say also the women of Persia and Medes, they see the queen disrespect, they've been disobedient to her man. All of our women gonna be disobedient to us. So she not only wrongs you, she wronged all your 180 states that you live over. Everybody that lives in your reign and who was under your power. All the women will look up to your queen and be disobedient just like her. So we gotta do something about that now. So they said, sir, they said, king, if it please you, please make a law tonight. Go ahead, read.
That it not be altered, that Vashti come no more before the king Ahasuerus.
Right. So they said, look. They said, if it please you, king, have her not never come out ever.
Right.
Read it again.
That it be not altered, that Vashti come no more before King Ahasuerus.
That she come not no more before King. That she come not more no more among you. No in the public eye, because she's a horrible example of a queen.
Right.
A horrible example of a woman. And once again, if we look at how we are and how our women are, it shows you how America teaches our people to be.
Right.
Like the spirit on our woman is taught by our oppressor.
Right.
And it's on purpose to divide our family. Like here, these are heathens. They're not Israelites.
Right.
They from the Persians and the Medes. These are Persians and Medes, man. Right. And they know if a woman in high status is disrespectful to the king, it's going to be an example for their wives. Right. So do something about it. Right. Look at the status. I mean, look at the condition of black people and how our women are. Right. Our oppressor did that on purpose. Right. Took the power from us and gave the power to our woman and told her, "Thou art loose." Told her she could put her man out. Told her, "Listen, I'm your daddy now. I'll give you money if you put your man out the house." That's what that's what government assistance is, and child support and everything else. Go ahead.
Talk about this, sir. And what you're saying is so heavy, sir. I remember when Beyonce, she put out a song called Formation. And in that song, she said if he makes love to her, paraphrasing, good, she gonna take him to Red Lobster. And they said Red Lobster seen almost a triple spike in their business after Beyonce said that one line in that song, because black women were taking Red Lobster.
It shows you how a woman or man in status, in high status.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We have, our woman Beyonce, Rihanna, Minaj, Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. These are women, black women who are high status in America. Black men, you got rappers. Right. You know what I'm saying? You got athletes. You know what I'm saying? Whenever these celebrities say something, the world gonna follow. And most definitely our people gonna follow Beyonce, right. Gonna follow LeBron, gonna follow Jay-Z, right. And Megan Thee Stallion and whoever else.
And so heavy what you're saying also, sir, because the crazy thing is, as men and as leaders, what you've seen there and what transpired there, among the hearing how they were afraid of what the people would see. It shows that we really have to control what even our women take in terms of entertainment, because they're so easily influenced by these stars that whatever they learn from the Jay-Z's and the Rihannas, they're gonna think this is proper behavior, this is glorious behavior.
Right. Right, just like just like the youth. Just like I was young. Who I look up to? Kanye West.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Look at him now. Destroyed. Right. So let's get back to the story. It just shows you, like I brought out, you gotta pick the people who you lead as a righteous example, right? You gotta make sure they're righteous. The I.S.U.P.K. We are righteous leaders, and the only leaders who will lead us to righteousness and not fall into the darkness that's in America now.
Right.
And not be in the conditions that we in. Go ahead. To be damn triumphant. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Right. Read that again. So like somebody pick up for I want to go ahead and read, but you gotta they're gonna sacrifice your stomach for reading.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Read that one more time.
And let the king give her royal estate unto another that is better than she.
Let the king take the crown from off her head, take her queendom from her, and give it to another woman that is better than her. This is the beginning of the saving of Israel right here.
Right.
Go ahead.
What scripture are we on?
What scripture are we on?
First Esther, chapter 20. Chapter 1, verse 20. 1 verse 20.
Go ahead, our
Verse 20.
If I could, so sloppy. And that's a heavy scripture because in the Christian church, we teach you everybody's equal. Right. Nobody's better than the other. And when there's nobody better than the other, that means there's nothing required of you to improve. Right. Because you'll find the way you are. Now, if you know somebody's better than you, then you can measure yourself up against that person and try to match or surpass them.
And also, in Christianity, women are dominant in the Christian church.
Right.
Women are dominant. When you go to the Christian church, who had the pastor has a voice, but who's the other pastor? A lot of women got a voice and a mouth, and a lot of brothers in there. The spirit of that congregation, the men are soft, and that's how they're bred and raised in that church. That's how the men are, and the women are raised to be boisterous and trying to have a dominant spirit as backers.
Right.
But these heathens here knew that spirit is not allowed, and knew that spirit is a terrible example for other women. So she had to be dealt with. They said, take that crown off her head, take her queendom away. She's not a queen no more. Give it to somebody better. Right. And this was the beginning of the saving of Israel.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come. Verse 20. And when the king's decree, which he shall make, shall be published throughout all his empire.
Right, you're going to be next reading, man. Go ahead.
For it is great. All the wives shall give to their husbands honor.
Right. Read that part again.
For it is great. All the wives shall give to their husbands honor.
Right. All the wives shall give. Right. So now, the queen was disobedient. Let her publicly be punished and taking her crown and have her crown taken away. And now, for a minute, everybody that seen the queen be disrespectful, they thought that they could do the same thing to her husband. But when they seen her lose power, it corrected, and they said, "Oh no, we seen that she was corrected."
Right.
So I would know never to do that. I would know to not be disobedient to my king or to my husband. Go ahead.
Both to great and small.
Go ahead. Both the great and small, rich and poor. Go ahead.
And the saying pleased the king and the princes.
And the king said, that sounds good. You ain't the queen no more. Go ahead.
And the king did according to the word of I.S.U.P.K. For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house.
Look at that.
And that it should.
This is the heathen. This is the heathen king, and the heathen prince gave him some advice. And also, this king ruled over 180 countries. 180 countries, and they said send letters out to everybody that live in those 180 countries in their language, because he didn't rule just one people. Like, these are Persians and Medes who are East Indians, and they who are East Indians, but this East Indian ruled over people who was within those 180 countries, black people, all different kind of races of people who are in those countries who was under his reign. He said, send letters to those households and let them know what? Read that again. Go ahead. Read that again.
And to every people after their language.
Right.
For he sent letters into all the king's provinces, into every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language, that every man should bear rule in his own house.
Every man shall bear rule in his house. America, Democrat nor Republican, never send that letter to the house, to our house. They never would tell our women. I mean, they would never send that letter and say, "Look, black man, listen, black woman, you gotta see your man. Listen, black man, you go back in that house and you rule over that house." That won't happen in America, because that would be the fall of America. That's why they will never have that happen. Go ahead.
It's like I made too, sir. This is why the Christian church is so wicked, because it does happen in the white church. Like the white Christian church teaches their women, submit to your husband. The black Christian church teaches black women, rule over this nigga. It seems like they don't pass it down to us.
And the black women, they know they're supposed to submit. They heard that word in church before. They know it. But they always try to give requirements and qualifications.
Right.
Well, Negro, you ain't qualified for me to listen to you.
Right.
I got required for me to be obedient to you. I require for you to have this amount of money. I require for you to have this size house, this car. It's requirements for them to, and even when you got that, they obedient for a little bit. When they back to themselves, they still back to being an evil dog. It don't matter. We require your requirements, man. Go ahead.
They taught that by the aged woman in the church.
Say again?
They taught that by the aged woman in the church.
To be
big
evil.
hats.
Oh yeah. The bigger the hat, the evil they are. There's more evil under the hat, but it's more demons under it.
And that it should be published according to the language of every people.
But this brother published a law, man. I mean, this heathen published a law and a righteous law. Go ahead. What chapter you in?
That was chapter 1.
Okay, Barack.
Come.
You're gonna pick up chapter 2. Esther chapter 2, verse 1.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
The book of Esther, chapter 2, verse 1. After these things, when the wrath of King Ahasuerus was appeased, he remembered Vashti. And when she had done, and what was decreed against her. Verse 2. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, let there be fair young virgins sought for the king.
Right. So now he said, let it be fair young virgins. Meaning what? And we know biblically, virgin in America, virgin means a woman who has not had sex with, who has not been married. We know sex is marriage. All right, sex is not that came from white people, Romans. They said they came from Romans. Romans made that business contract. Where so you put that ring on that finger, y'all sign a contract, and now y'all financially bonded together. That's what American marriage is about. A holy marriage is that man laying down with that woman and they're connected.
Right.
You can't get more connected than sex.
Right.
That's how you become connected. All right.
Right.
And you become one. That is marriage. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And let the king appoint officers in all the provinces of his kingdom, that they may gather together all the fair young virgins unto Shushan the palace.
Right. So the virgins, we know in America, virgins is a woman that has not had sex. But in the Bible, virgins is a young woman. You know, a young woman who's 18 through 25 or something like that. Somewhere in between there. 24, something like that. Young, the PYTs. The beautiful women, man. The daughters of Zion. Those are virgins. Go ahead.
To the house of the woman, unto the custody of Hajid, the king's chamberlain, keeper of the woman, and let their things for purification be given them. Verse 4. And let the maiden which pleaseth the king be queen instead of Vashti.
Right. So he said, instead of a hard-headed woman, we're going to find a beautiful young woman to take your spot. Go ahead.
And the thing pleased the king, and he did so. Verse 5. Now in Shushan the palace, there was a certain Jew whose name was Mordecai.
Right, here goes Mordecai.
The son of Jael, the son of Shammai, the son of Kish, a Benjamite.
Right, a Benjamite brother. This Benjamite brother was devout to the Most High.
Right.
And he was not going to bow to no false god, and he was not going to bow to no heathens. Go ahead.
Verse 6. Who had been carried away from Jerusalem with the captivity, which had been carried away with Jeconiah, king of Judah,
right,
whom Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, had carried away.
Right. So at that time, this is when we got swept up in the captivity under Xerxes. Go ahead. And Mordecai was swept up within the captivity. At times, Israel were ruling. At times when we were ruling, we were royalty. And when we disobeyed God, we lost. And the Lord will put us under captivity under some heathens, man.
Right.
Under captivity, just like right now. Because we were disobedient. Disobedience got us what? Into the slave ships.
Right.
If you didn't know by now, black people would never go through slavery if we were not disobedient to the Most High.
Right.
But because we were, we live in the hell that we live in now. Right. And to watch the I.S.U.P.K. on Commander YAHANNA. That's right. This is a safe haven right here. Right. You know? But for the rest of the world, it's so much hell. Like it's so much, it's so many ways. We live by a culture where it's that we don't love each other or treat each other the right way. Whereas though we don't know how to be a brother. Whereas though if I offend you, you should be able to just come to me, Jose, and say, look, brother, you said something I didn't like. And I also say, you know what, brother, you're right. I apologize. Right. Or if I don't believe I was wrong, me and you go amongst some judges and say, and then the judges will let us know, look, Jose, you wrong, or the Kamaya, you're wrong. You know what I'm saying? And you apologize to that brother, y'all sort it out. We live in a kingdom where it's though, you know, I see a woman, I lay down with her, you have a one night stand, and then you roll out on her. Right. You get what I'm saying? And that when you do that to a woman, what happens? It destroys them mentally. And then, you know, and spiritually it destroys them. You know what I'm saying? And each time that happens, they, you know, it messes them upside, it messes them up mentally, man. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And he brought up Hadassah, that is Esther, his uncle's daughter, for she had neither father nor mother, and the maid was fair and beautiful, whom Mordecai, when her father and mother were dead, took her for his own daughter.
Right. This is a young beautiful woman. I mean, sorry, young beautiful young lady. Her mother and father died, and Mordecai decided to take her as his own daughter. That was something beautiful, man. You see a young lady. Her mother and her father died, and the brother said, "You know what? I'm gonna take this girl as my daughter. I'm gonna watch over her." Even that today, it happens today, but it should happen more. You get what I'm saying? And it actually would happen more if brothers was, you know, if you know they just let brothers be brothers and let us be ourselves, man. And let us be in our spirit. We would take care of the whole hood like we usually do. If we ain't got nobody in our way. Go ahead.
Verse 8. So it came to pass, when the king's commandment and his decree was heard, and when many maidens were gathered together unto Shushan the palace, to the custody of her God, that Esther was brought also into the king's house, to the custody of her God, keeper of the woman.
So now Esther, a beautiful young lady, is brought into the king's house. She made it. She going through the processing and the trials. She being processed. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him, and he speedily gave her things for purification.
He seen one look at her and said, "Oh, she bad as hell." Oh my goodness, this sis is bad. This Esther, look, hurry up, yes. Give her the thing of purification. I want this one to be the wife. I want her to be the queen. I want her right here. Her. Go ahead.
With such things as belong to her, and 7 maidens, which were meet to be given her out of the king's house.
So like, one second. What's going on? She wet? Okay.
I got you.
What's up? You might need to change it.
I'm
go ahead. You go ahead. Somebody pick up for the brother.
That was verse 9.
Go ahead. Let the brother pick up. I'm gonna let him pick up right here.
Esther chapter 2, verse 9. And the maiden pleased him, and she obtained kindness of him.
Right.
And she speedily gave her things for purification, with such things as belonged to her, and 7 maidens, which were meant to be given her out of the king's house. And he preferred her and her maids unto the best place of the house of the women.
Right. So this is a king. This is a king man. Imagine like a king. Imagine the show The Bachelor or them dating shows. What was that? Flavor of Love with the what's the brother name? Gospel brother name. Flavor. Imagine that, bro. Imagine a show like. Imagine a thing like that. You got the king, and you have women right there, and this king chooses Esther, an Israelite woman, because she was so bad, so beautiful. Right. She got picked out of the crowd. Go ahead.
Verse 10. Esther had not shewed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she would not shew it.
She would not. So read that part again.
For Mordecai had charged her that she should not shew it.
At this time, she tried to show that she was not an Israelite, I believe. That's what I'm saying. Esther had not showed her people no kindred. Oh no, she did not. I'm sorry. She did not show her people that she was chosen yet. She did not let them. Like just like when good news happened, you let your people know. Esther this time did not let the people know that she was being picked, that she was chosen by the king to be the next queen. because Mordecai told her not to do it. Yeah, go ahead.
Verse 11. And Mordecai walked every day before the court of the woman's house to know how Esther did and what should become of her.
Right. So now that Esther got chosen by the king, her guardian now Mordecai is walking back and forth in the court to see how she's doing, what's going on, and she being chosen by the king. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Now when every maid's turn was come to go in the king's Ahasuerus, after that, after that, she had been 12 months, according to the manner of doors, and with other things for the purifying of the women.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 13.
And this right here is a beautiful thing. The manner of purification was that the king would choose a woman, and that woman would not be touched. She would not be touched, have sex or anything. But for 12 months, she would bathe in oil and sweet scents and oil of myrrh. And go ahead. She bathed 6 months in oil of myrrh, and bathed in 6 months, and another 6 months of sweet odors. She was getting her skin prepared and solved for that king. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go back to it. What are you going to read?
Verse 12. Now when every maid's turn was come to go in the king's Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of doors.
You at verse 12. Right? Verse 12. Oh, okay. Yeah, keep skipping it. No sweat.
According to the manner of other women, for so were the days of her purifications accomplished.
Right. So now she 6 months of bathing in oil of myrrh, and 6 months of 6 months of bathing in sweet odors. When Jeremiah used to read the scripture as a young man, when I thought about getting another wife, I was like, man, I want my wife to, because in the I.S.U.P.K, when a sister comes to the school, she's all there for 6 months to a year. You court her, y'all court for 6 months to a year to see if you want to marry a sister. You might not want to, she might not want to marry you. So y'all court for 6 months to a year, and then at the end of that time, you'll say yes, you say la, is no, or con, which is yes, and then y'all decide to marry. But I always had a dream as a young man that if I get another wife, that she bathed for them 6 months, then 6 to 12 months, and those sweet oils, and then when you get her, you touch her arm and touch her hand, she be so smooth. It smells so delightful. Oh my! It's a beautiful sight, and it's a beautiful vision I be having sometimes. I used to have when I was a young man. When Jeremiah used to bring scripture out of the purification. It's a beautiful thing. She's getting ready for a king. Go ahead. I just want to bring that out. Go ahead.
To wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors.
Yeah, you said odors.
Odors, okay. Mm-hmm. With sweet odors and with other things for the purification of women, of the women.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, verse 13.
Verse 13. And then thus came every maiden unto the king. Mm-hmm. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house.
Imagine that. Imagine you are a slave like today. And imagine the king pick you out of everybody. The king picks you, and the king gives you maids. Now you're not only a poor young girl, but now you become the queen, and you're a young girl you got maids. Like, girl, got some maids. I'm about to be a queen. That's what's going on with this young woman right here, this young lady right here. Go ahead.
Out of the house of the women unto the king's house. Verse 14. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women. Mm-hmm. to the custody of Shashgaz.
Go ahead. Shashgaz or Shashgaz? Go ahead.
Shashgaz. The king's chamberlain.
Right. And once again, the chamberlain is a man. A chamberlain is a man who would watch over the king's wives. That's what a chamberlain is. Usually, there'd be a chamberlain who was a man who was injured in war. Like in war, his penis or testicles was cut, so his he has no use. He won't have any sex. So it was good. They would hire him to watch over the king's wives. They would trust him. He can't have sex, so it was like, why not choose this brother to watch over my wives? Go ahead.
About job. Is it another word for it, like an emach or
eunuch? That's what you like.
Eunuch?
Eunuch.
That's how you said it? Okay.
Go ahead.
Which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more. Except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name.
Right, she was called by name. Like, she was so bad, the king like, man, Esther, where you at? Go ahead.
Verse 15. Now in the turn of Esther, the daughter of Abilah, the uncle of Mordecai, who had taken her for his daughter, has come to go in unto the king's house. She required nothing but what Haggai, the king's chamberlain, the keeper of the women appointed. And Esther obtained favor in the sight of all of them that looked upon her.
Right, because she was so beautiful. She was so bad. Everybody looked at her and favored her. Go ahead.
Verse 16. So Esther was taken unto the king Ahasuerus into the house royal in the 10th month. In the 10th month, which is the month Tebeth, in the 7th year of his reign. Verse 17. And the king loved Esther above all the women, and she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins, so that he set the royal crown upon her head, and made her queen.
So now when it came to take the crown of a hard-headed Vashti, take the crown off her head, she was disobedient. So the prince said, "Listen, your wife is a queen. She's being disobedient. She gonna set an example, and because she's a queen and being disobedient to you, all the women gonna be disobedient to their husbands because she's a queen. She's with the example." So they made a contract and said, "King, if it please you, choose your new queen who will be obedient." And that's a lesson that'll be learned for our women as far as what happens when you're disobedient and obedient. There's a reward and there's a discipline, there's punishment. So, and she had to lose that. And now a young Israelite woman, Esther, took her crown. Go ahead. All you gotta do, this is crazy. All you gotta do is listen. You'll still be queen. That's something challenging. Right? All of us have something that's challenging. Men, we have something that's challenging. Women too. But number one on some of those things is just listen. That's it. Go ahead.
And made her queen instead of Vashti. Verse 18. Then the king made a great feast unto all his princes and his servants.
Right.
Even Esther's feast.
Even Esther had a feast. Look, go ahead.
And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king.
Right.
Verse 19. And when the virgins were gathered together the second time, then Mordecai sat in the king's gate. Verse 20. Esther had not yet shewed her kindred nor her people.
Meaning this, Esther did not show it. A lot of Israelites did not know that Esther was the one who was becoming a new queen, who was crowned as a new queen. Go ahead. So she did not show her people that, and Mordecai had told her not to do that yet. Go ahead. Not let her people, not let Israel know that she would be the new queen. Go ahead.
Esther had not yet shewed her kindred nor her people as Mordecai had charged her. For Esther did the commandment of Mordecai, like as when she was brought up with him.
Right.
Verse 20.
And also that was a beautiful thing, because even after she became queen, she still stayed obedient to her poor guardian, the man Mordecai, who took her as her father. A lot of times when men and women, once we receive a certain status or become rich, you forget your parents, or you forget the people you came up with. You know what I'm saying? You don't obey. You think you know better than them because you have more money than them. She could have became queen and totally just act brand new and say, "Oh, I don't know more," and act like she ain't know Mordecai no more. But she did not do that. She still stayed obedient to her uncle. To her guardian. Go ahead, her father. Go ahead.
Verse 21. In those days, while Mordecai sat in the king's gate, two of the king's chamberlains, Bigtha and Teresh, of those which kept the door, were wroth and sought to lay hand on the king's Ahasuerus.
Right. So now there's two chamberlains. You got two men who are supposed to be who are guardians over the king's wives. These two men were angry at the king and they wanted to kill him. Go ahead.
Verse 22. And the thing was known to Mordecai.
And Mordecai seen it. And Mordecai found that out. Go ahead.
Who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Right. So this is another thing. Esther, with her beauty, won the favor of the king. That's one thing that's going to help Israel in the future of the story that we're reading right now. And also, this is another key thing for Mordecai. Mordecai found out that two men were trying to kill the king. So Mordecai went and told Esther, "Look, somebody's trying to kill the king." And Esther went and did what? Read the scripture you were reading.
Who told it unto Esther the queen. And Esther certified the king thereof in Mordecai's name.
Right. So she told the king, and she said, "Look, Mordecai told me this, that the two men trying to rise up, your chambers are trying to rise up against you." Go ahead.
Verse 23. And when the inquisition was made of the matter, it was found out. Therefore, they were both hanged on a tree.
Right.
And it was written in the book of the Chronicles before the king.
Right. So now, that's treason. Or anytime, somebody trying to come up against the king, anytime somebody right now, you make threats to the president of the United States, you're going to be dealt with. So at any time, the punishment of those two men were what? They got hung. Go ahead. Read on.
Esther chapter 3, verse 1. Mm-hmm. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of...
Those are One West boots you got on, sister.
Those are crazy.
Those are One West boots. Those are crazy. Those are One West boots you got on right there. Those are amazing. Go ahead.
Good job.
No, that's the daughter of Zion right there. Right. That's our flavor. Go ahead.
Promote after these things, verse 1. After these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman. Ahasuerus. Promote Haman, the son of Hamadatha.
Go ahead.
The Agagite.
Right. So this Agagite, remember this name, Haman. Haman was a vile, arrogant bastard, man. And we're gonna see why he was an arrogant bastard. Go ahead.
And advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. Mm-hmm. Verse 2. and all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed.
Salaam. Rocky, are you able to pick back up?
What, this right? Come.
Yeah, pick up with the...
Come. The book of Esther, chapter 3, verse 2. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed and reverenced Haman, for the king had commanded concerning him. But Mordecai bowed not.
See, imagine that. Imagine you get some kind of power, and you get some status, and you walk through a crowd of people. You walking into the castle or into the palace. Everybody bowed down to you except for one person, which is Mordecai. You the king, and that's like Donald Trump driving past, or better yet, Barack Obama. Because I remember when he was at camp speaking, and Barack Obama drove down the street, and everybody on the corner knew that was Obama, and everybody was quiet except for the UPK. We kept speaking, and everybody was like, Obama rolled past now. Y'all can just be quiet now. Like, nah, it's not. No, he ain't helping you. And now years later, y'all mad. The same people who told us to be quiet when Obama drove past, now they mad at Obama because he ain't do nothing for them. But imagine that. Imagine how Obama rode past a DC camp before on 7th and 8th Street Northwest, and everybody was quiet. They was watching the cars, watching the caravans, and when Obama rolled past, they waved. Except for us, we ain't waved. We kept speaking. Go ahead, read on. So read that part again.
Come. And all the king's servants that were in the king's gate bowed.
Right. So all the king's so now Haman's going ride past on him. He's on his horse. He's coming into the palace. He think he's big and bad. All the king's servants are bowing down to him. Hey, Haman. Go ahead. Except for who?
And reverence Haman, for the king had so commanded concerning him.
Right.
But Mordecai bowed not.
The king told everybody to bow down to Haman. Everybody did except for Mordecai. Except for this staunch Benjamite. This hard-headed Benjamite who was only devout to the Lord.
Right.
Go ahead.
Nor did him reverence.
He didn't acknowledge him as nothing. Right. He did not acknowledge him as superior. He was another heathen in Mordecai's eyes. He wasn't nothing special. He wasn't an Israelite. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou king's commandment?
Read it again.
Then the king's servants, which were in the king's gate, said unto Mordecai, why transgresseth thou the king's commandment?
Right, the king's servants said, "Can Mordecai, look, why are you not listening to the king? The king gave us an order. When Haman comes in, we're supposed to bow down to him and give him reverence. We doing it, but you're not doing it. Why are you not doing it?" Read on.
Come. Verse 4. Now it came to pass, when they spake daily unto him, and he hearkened not unto them.
And they spake daily. Like this happened daily. Haman will come in. Haman will come into the palace daily. The king's servants will bow down to him. But every day, this Benjamite, hardcore Benjamite, will not bow down to him. Benjamite looked at him and said, "I'm not bowing down to you. Who are you?" Go ahead.
God. And he hearkened not unto them, that they told Haman to see whether Mordecai's matters would stand. For he had told them that he was a Jew.
Right. You said, "Look, I'm a Jew. Jew by blood. Not bowing to him. Not bowing down to no heathen." That's what he said. Go ahead.
Verse 5.
We don't bow to heathens.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not.
Go ahead, Warren.
It's so heavy that the only reason he gave him for bowing down was, "I'm a Jew."
Right.
So that is telling you that every heathen should know that Jews don't bow down to nobody.
Right.
Like this is just our custom. Right. So I can imagine. You can only imagine how shameful it is today in today's society to see black people pledging allegiance to the flag. You know, I went to a couple of weeks ago. I went to Mission Barbecue.
Right.
And even at Mission Barbecue, except at noon, everybody stands up and salutes the flag. You know?
Right. And Mission Barbecue. I just ate there about 2-3 days ago too. I'm glad I went there at 12 o'clock. I would have been like Mordecai. I need my order. Hurry up. I was sitting down eating. and they be standing. But at Mission Barbecue, they're really patriotic and American at Mission Barbecue. And at 12 o'clock, everybody stands up and do it, and they, I guess, put their hand over their heart, and they say the Pledge of Allegiance, so they say the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
No, they play the national anthem. Everybody just stands up their hand.
They play the national anthem, and I'll be on. I'm not gonna be on my knee like Kaepernick, but I'll be on my butt on the bench eating my poor chicken sandwich.
I was peppering the steak.
Right. Most High Christ. He got to be Mordecai. He got to be Mordecai. He peppering. He putting pepper on. He seasoning the meat. While everybody got their hand on the heart. Like y'all tripping. Pass me that salt right there. The Most High, go ahead.
Like I say, so it was so uncomfortable in there.
Right.
But after they did it, I'm sitting there eating. Manager come over. Is everything okay?
Because all right, it's a scripture. If we get to it's a scripture here that's so heavy that I love to pull. That also brings out why Haman wanted to kill the Israelites. Right. It's the sole reason of what you did at Bishop Barbecue and what Mordecai did right here. And our Lord allowed me to get to that scripture. If not, I'll pull it to show the importance of it. Go ahead. Who's reading?
Esther chapter 3, verse 5. And when Haman saw that Mordecai bowed not, nor did him reverence, then was Haman full of wrath.
Haman full of wrath, so arrogant. He said, listen, I guess it hurts. It hurts when you walk into a crowd of 100 or 1,000 people or whatever, and all 999 people bow to you, but that one person don't bow. You see everybody bowing, but you see that one person standing up, and that one person just pissed you off. Arrogant and proud. He didn't even want to let it go. He said, "Well, he said, you know what? Well, 900 people are bowing to me. I don't care about that one dude." That's just like you. That's like you walking down the street, and you got $1,000 in your pocket, but $1 falls out your pocket, and then you realize it fell out. Are you gonna cry about that $1? Well, he cried about that $1. He wanted all of it. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And he thought scorn to lay hands on Mordecai alone.
Lay hands on him alone. He said, I'm not even gonna ask the king about this thing. I want to lay hands on him. I want to do it. Go ahead.
Come. For they had showed him the people of Mordecai. Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews.
See that. Go ahead.
Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Assyria.
See, because of one Jew, and because that one man said, "I'm a Jew," Haman said, "You know what? Just kill all the Jews." What the Jew said, according to my custom and my God, we don't bow down to nobody. Right. But we're not bowing down to no heathens. Who you think you are? You think you David? Right. You ain't David. Nah, I'm not bowing down to you. And then Haman seen that, he said, "You know what? Kill all of them." Right. That's just like, imagine this. Imagine Colin Kaepernick when he bowed his knee down. Imagine if Donald Trump, because Kaepernick did not because of Kaepernick bowed down, took a knee on the flag while they're doing the Pledge of Allegiance or the national anthem. Imagine Kaepernick get all of us arrested because he took a knee. Right. That's what's going on right now. Because Mordecai did not bow down to Haman. He said, "Kill all the Jews." Right. Go ahead.
They're so spiritual, and it really gives you insight to why, like a coon, they hate us so much. Because when we speak on the streets, they think that we're gonna get masters to hate them.
Right.
They're gonna get in trouble.
Get it, brother. Hand. That is the battle and the tug of war between black people and Americans. You got some black people who have fully given up on their people, and they say, you know what? I want the highest status in America. Why not? So you know what? I know what I'm gonna do. I'm a coon. Right. I'm gonna be a coon. I'm gonna do whatever master say do. I'm gonna be very close to master, to my oppressor. He gonna make me rich, and I'm gonna do whatever he says do. And now when Steve Harvey or Terry Crews is number one. When Terry Crews when he sees a black person being not like him,
Right.
he looks at them like a bad example.
Right.
He's like, you're too gangster.
Right.
You're too gangster, man. I got a white wife. Get it. Why don't you get a white wife? Why don't you be more calm? Go ahead, Brock.
Come.
So and that's what Uncle Tom does. Like they hate, like they're scared when they see people. When they see a group like I.S.U.P.K, it scares them because they think they know. And this is the thing. They try so hard not to be black.
Right.
But people like us, that like the U.P.K, keep reminding him who he is. And now when he sees us, he's saying, man, when these Caucasians see I.S.U.P.K, they black. They're gonna think all of us are like that.
Right.
But I'm trying to prove to them I'm a good boy.
Right.
I'm a good old slave. I'm gonna do whatever. I'm gonna type a dance for you and do whatever you want. Right. I'm not like them. They're crazy.
Right.
They're the black KKK. Go ahead.
Wherefore Haman sought to destroy all the Jews that were throughout the whole kingdom of Ahasuerus.
But for that, he wanted to kill all the Jews for the action of one Jew. Go ahead.
Even the people of Mordecai.
Go ahead.
Verse 7. In the first month, that is the sun, in the 12th year of King Ahasuerus, they cast pur, that is the lots, before Haman from day to day, and from month to month, to the 12th month, that is the month Adar. Verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom.
Right, of course, we were slaves, and we are, just like the scripture said, we are scattered abroad, scattered among the four corners of the earth. So we scattered everywhere. You know, you got black people in DC, Baltimore, New York, California, Canada, Florida, Las Vegas, Mexico, Mississippi, everywhere, UK. We scattered everywhere.
Right.
So he said, so Haman told the king, it's a certain people, he didn't say who, but he said it's a certain people who are scattered among abroad everywhere. And what else abroad?
And their laws are diverse from all people.
That's my scripture. That's the scripture right here. That's the scripture I wanted. If everybody highlight, I don't even want to sound Christian. I said highlight. I don't want to sound like a pastor. But damn, that scripture is mighty. I love that scripture. Read that scripture again.
For the top of verse 8. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus.
That's the point right there. Go ahead and read it.
There's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom. And their laws are diverse from all people.
That's one West, man. That is mighty. Like there's people that scattered abroad, and their laws are diverse from who?
From all people.
And their laws are diverse from all people. That's why when you come in here and learn the true traditions of your people and your true culture, the world looks at you like you're crazy.
Right.
Like everybody look at you crazy because you don't eat pork.
Right.
Everybody look at you crazy because you wear fringes.
Right.
Everybody look at you crazy. Like yesterday, me and my rib coming into the house, she just happened. She didn't have to, but she wanted to wear a scarf on her head. I got out of the car. Our neighbor is like, "Oh, I didn't know y'all was African." I said, "We not." I said, "We ain't African." I said, "We ain't African." She said, "Oh, but y'all with y'all ritual." Or she trying to say tradition, like we stick to our black traditions roots, because my wife had a long dress and a scarf. Oh, that's what she wanted to wear. She don't wear it every day, but she wanted to wear it that day. But she's saying that, and she know that black people usually don't dress like that. So you gotta be an African, or you gotta be some kind of you stuck into some kind of African roots, or you Muslim, you something. You different from black. Our laws, like the Bible said, what, bro?
Come. And the laws are diverse from all people.
Our laws are diverse from all people, man. That's a beautiful thing for us to be diverse from all people, man. We already diverse by our talent. That's clear. The best fighters Floyd Mayweather, Pacquiao, what's the brother? The new brother, not new brother, but the young brother that's coming up in boxing.
What are you talking about?
Canelo. Him and I'm about this Latino brother too, like Canelo, something like that.
Right, I see it.
No, he has orange hair.
Canelo.
Canelo, yeah, him. So you got him. You got brothers that play basketball, football. You got LeBron James. You got the brothers that's playing football. We are the top. We got the people in the entertainment world. We are the best entertainment as far as comedians.
Right.
The comedians, the Chris Rocks, the Dave Chappelle's, and the brother who was the brother that passed away? Who do they look up to?
Bernie Mac.
Bernie Mac, the brother, the light skinned brother, the Bush.
Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor. You got James Brown. You got Rick James. You got Michael Jackson and Prince. You got all these people who were all these black brothers and sisters. We at the top of the game. Now take talent out of the way. You got black women who helped the white man, the oppressor, get to space. He would never touch the moon or shoot a rocket in the sky without a black woman. Imagine that.
Right.
Black women were the first computers in NASA.
Right.
They worked in NASA. They had to run a mile to go use a bathroom. Because they could not use the black women at that time that worked in NASA could not use the bathroom in that office. Right. They had to walk like a half a mile or something like that, or a quarter of a mile to go use the restroom, pissing on themselves, and coming right on back to compute calculations for our oppressor to shoot the ship ball to get to the moon. And he would not make it without them. Now, let's not forget about the inventions. The inventions that we made. A black woman made the 3D glass and the 3D projection. She made that. You got a black man who made the first game system. The black man who made the first cell phone. The black man who made a traffic light. The first open heart, the plasma transformation. All these things, man. Simple things, peanut butter. All the way up to sophisticated things, man. We made these things. We already special by our talent and our intelligence and our IQ.
Right.
We also were special by the laws that we follow.
Right.
And that's why, and this Bible is showing that Haman wanted to kill all of us because our laws were so different from everybody, because everybody would bow down to him, but not an Israelite, not a Jew. The Jew wasn't going to bow down. And that's how we got to be today. We got to come back to being diverse. Once again, the reason why we're alcoholics, the reason why we're drug addicts, the reason why women are molested and raped, the reason why we're homosexuals is because we have now taken on other laws. We have taken on everybody else's laws, and we are not diverse anymore.
Right.
We got to become more diverse. That's why this is one of my favorite scriptures right here. My favorite precepts. Go ahead.
So, like, if I may, too, what you're saying is so heavy. Like, normally in today's society and in past time as well, right? Rather you be the best team, the best athlete, Usain Bolt and track, and other people that lead the league. Like, you have to have a different set of rules. You know what I'm saying? Being that you're the most seasoned, the best league.
Let me get it. Go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, usually what you were saying, like, it is fits to today's society in general. Like, usually somebody that's, the best team or whatever, they practice different, they practice harder, all of it above, because, they have to be on a different standard, they have higher standards. You know what I'm saying? Being that you have, all of this talent, they got to be governed, righteously, organized and whatnot. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead. What you were saying, so totally right. You got a description?
Back at verse 8. Mm-hmm. From the top. God. And Haman said unto King Ahasuerus, there's a certain people scattered abroad and dispersed among the people in all the provinces of thy kingdom, and their laws are diverse from all people. Right. Neither keep they the king's laws. Therefore, it is not for the king's profit to suffer them.
Right. So and that's how Haman got him. Haman got the king to sign a decree because he was like, King, look, these people are different and their laws are different. Okay. The king probably, okay, laws different. The king may or may not, he might have looked at it, but it probably didn't affect him. But once he said, also, king, they don't listen to you either. Then he had him. He's like, oh, they don't listen to me? And they're like, yeah, so they don't listen to you. They don't follow your law. So it does not profit you to keep them. It does not profit you to keep them under your authority. Go ahead.
Verse 9. If it please the king, let it be written that they may be destroyed.
If it please the king. So all that and that's how they do it. First, the prince came to the king about his queen. So listen, your queen hard-headed. Your queen is disobedient. And she's going to set an example for all of them to be disobedient and hard-headed. So find a new queen. Then now another brother coming to him like, king, it's a people who don't listen to you and don't follow your law. Can you sign a decree to kill, to get rid of all these people? Because they're just a nuisance and a parasite in your kingdom. Go ahead. Right.
Come. And I will pay 10,000 talents of silver to the hands of those that have the charge of the business to bring it into the king's treasuries. Verse 10. And the king took his ring from his hand and gave it unto Haman, the son of Ahmedatha, the Agagite, the Jews' enemy. Verse 11. And the king said unto Haman, the silver is given to thee, the people also, to do with them as it seemeth good to thee. Verse 12. Then were the king's scribes called unto the 13th day of the first month, and there was written according to all that Haman had commanded unto the king's lieutenants, and to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people of every province according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. And the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring.
So now it's on and popping. Listen, Haman said, King, put out the order to kill all these Israelites because they got different laws and they don't listen to you. Like I said, just to make this story become a better picture for you. Just imagine Colin Kaepernick when he took a knee, that made Donald Trump angry, and somebody told Trump, "Look, you should just lock all black people up because all black people are like that. Look at them. They always screaming Black Lives Matter. They always say Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter. Arrest all of them. They don't like you, Trump. They don't listen to you. Just lock them all up." So in this story, in this right here, the Haman is saying, "Look, kill all the Israelites. They don't listen to you." Go ahead.
So like I said about me, in verse 9, that's the king Ahasuerus. It's like he put out a big hit for our people.
No, Haman, King Ahasuerus at the time, Ahasuerus, he did not. He just looked at these people as people that was disobedient. Right. But Haman brought it to his attention. Like they weren't doing. They didn't blatantly disrespect the king. Haman, out of his arrogance, because one Israelite did not bow to him, and he's not the king, but he did that out of his own arrogance and pride. He said, "Oh, you want to bow to me? I'm going to the king to have all y'all killed." Go ahead.
Verse 13. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy.
And these provinces are countries. This king rules 180 countries. And they sent letters to all 180 countries to kill all Israelites. That's a massive. That was probably millions of Israelites that was lined up to be. That was supposed to be lined up to be slaughtered. Go ahead. For one brother. Go ahead.
To destroy, to kill, and to cause perish all Jews, both young and old.
And they didn't listen. They don't. Just like the scripture said in Deuteronomy, they didn't care about the old nor the young. Go ahead.
Little children and women.
They got they don't have any compassion. All of them got to go. The Lord's going to do that to the Edomites for what they have done on the world and done unto us. Right. Young and old Edomite unoppressor. The Lord is going to kill them. That's right. In the future near us. Right. Go ahead.
In one day, even upon the 13th day.
In one day. Kill millions of Israelites in one day. That was the decree. Genocide, mass genocide. Go ahead.
In one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month Adar, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. Verse 14. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published unto all people, that they should be ready against that day. Verse 15, the post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. The book of Esther, chapter 4, verse 1. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes, and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry.
And that's what we would do. You know when we sad, we black people are dramatic. You know what I'm saying? That's who we are. We known to be dramatic, men and women. The brother, and we would usually do that. We would rip our clothes and put on sackcloth and put ashes on our head and just cry out to the Lord, God, please, Lord. I'm down in the dirt. I'm messed up right now, man. I need you. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And came even before the king's gate, for none might enter into the king's gate clothed with sackcloth. Verse 3. And in every province.
Right, so the king's gate, you couldn't enter looking like all ripped up and looking poor. You had to look presentable if you want to come in that gate. Go ahead.
Verse 3. And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, there was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting, and weeping, and wailing.
Now we hit a law that we all supposed to die. All of us, all throughout these 180 countries, we all supposed to die one day. Of course, and we scared and sad, and mourning and fasting to the Lord. Go ahead.
And wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. Verse 4. So Esther's maids and her chamberlains came and told it her. Then was the king exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai.
Right. So she sent some proper clothing to Mordecai so he can put that on, so he may enter the court and talk to her, because she could not come in the king. He could not come in the king's proximity or the king's property like that.
And to take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not.
Right, he received it not. Listen, he needed. Esther was telling him, "Look, come in and talk to me." But you know how you had to look presentable to come in here.
Right.
Come on in. She brought the clothes out. He said, "Nah, I'm gonna keep it in. Listen, we messed up right now. All of us, the king decided to sign a decree for us to be killed. I'm not putting them clothes on. Go ahead."
Verse 5.
We in mourning. Go ahead.
Verse 5. Then called Esther for Hatak, one of the king's chamberlains, whom he had appointed to attend upon her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai, to know what it was and why it was. Verse 6. So Hatak went forth to Mordecai unto the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. Verse 7. And Mordecai told him of all that had happened unto him, and of the sum of the money that Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy them. Verse 8. Also, he gave him the copy of the writing of the decree that was given at Shushan to destroy them.
Right. So one of the king's champs, since Mordecai would not come in, and he stayed out mourning and sad, Esther had one of the king's chamberlains just say, "You know what? Okay." She asked the chamberlain, "Go on and talk to Mordecai and let me know what's his issue. Since he don't want to come out here, go out there to him, ask him what's going on, and then come back and tell me what the issue is." Go ahead.
And to declare unto her, and to charge her that should go in unto the king.
It's like, Warren, you want to go to the restroom? Go ahead.
To show it unto Esther, and to declare it unto her, and to charge her that she should go in unto the king, to make supplication unto him, and to make request before him for her people.
Right. So now it's a beautiful thing, because we have an Israelite on the inside, just like Michelle Obama. Barack Obama was a Hamite, but Michelle Obama was a black woman.
Right.
Michelle Obama did not use her time wisely. She did not use her daughter Zionist. She did not use it. She could have told Obama, "Look, you faking like you black, And you all and all my people love you. Do something for them then. How about we do something? Could have forced his hand to do something. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Hatak came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Verse 10. Again Esther spake unto Hatak and gave him commandment unto Mordecai. Verse 11. All the king's servants and the people of the king's provinces do know that whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come unto the king into the inner courts, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
Right. So now Mordecai is telling gave them the message on to the Chamberlain. The Chamberlain goes back and tell Esther what's going on. Told Esther, look, it's a decree out here for all of us to die. You the queen, I need you to go and talk to that king to stop this mass murder that's about to happen to Israel. But you gotta make an appointment and you gotta ask the king's the people that work for the king. Just like here, a general or a captain, or sometimes you can't not go directly to the captain of the shop. Sometimes you have to go to myself, Kazak or next brother, and then we would go to captain of the shop. With General Hyman or Commander General YAHANNA. You cannot go straight to Commander General YAHANNA. You have to go to captain of the shop or go to a brother or one of the captains that say, Salaki, I would like to talk to General Hyman, I would talk to General YAHANNA about something. And then they will go to him and spread the word like that. So now, with this story right here, if you came to the king without setting up an appointment or anything and just walk up to the king, you can get killed for that. So that's what Esther was saying. Esther was saying, even for Esther was a queen. Esther was a queen, but that law was for the queen also. The queen cannot just walk up to the king and just ask him anything. Go ahead, Brock.
Come, who is not called, there is one law of his to put him to death.
Right.
Except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter, that he may live. But I have not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days.
Right. So Esther said, look, I ain't been called. The king ain't called me. I just can't walk up to him. And only how, if I don't get killed or a man get killed, is if I walk up to the king and they're about to kill that man or woman, but the king stops it and holds out a golden scepter and say, allow him or her to live. Come on in. Come on. How can I help you? Go ahead, Rock.
Verse 12. And they told to Mordecai Esther's words. Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews.
There's another important one here. This is what Michelle Obama should have listened to. Read that again.
Verse 13. Then Mordecai commanded to answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house.
He said, think not with yourself that you will escape. You accept in the king's house. Escape. You're not going to escape in the king's house. Meaning, look, you black too. It's an order to kill all Israelites. You could get killed that day with us also. Just because you're the queen, don't think you won't get killed either. And that's what a lot of us have to learn. That's what Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and Oprah Winfrey and the beautiful sister who's a traitor, Stacey Dash, good night. She's a damn traitor. She's a waste of time, a waste of flesh, a waste of beauty. She's a traitor. And all the other sellouts, they gotta know that when we in trouble or harm happens to all the black people, to us, Steve Harvey, you can be harmed too, brother. You lost your show. Or you know, it's plenty of black people who lost things, and they didn't think they was gonna lose it because they thought they was pleasing master enough. The master at times could say, you know what, I'm done with you. I have a new pawn. I got a new slave. I'm tired of you now. Go ahead.
Come, more than all the Jews. Verse 14. For if thou altogether holdest thy peace at this time, then shall their enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place.
Right. So he said, look, this could be your time right here, Esther. You don't, and further on in the scripture, which is probably the next verse, he's gonna say, this could be the reason why you're the queen. Like, don't take you becoming the queen for granted, and now you just everything is good, and now you just lay back now and not worry about the rest of your people. You gotta serve your people even more now because you're in a seat of a position of some kind of power. Go ahead and read.
Come. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed.
Right. And you and your father's house are going to be destroyed. And if you don't do something right now, maybe the Lord will probably pick another prophet or somebody else to save Israel. But right now, this is your opportunity as to do something. Go ahead, Barack.
And who knoweth whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this?
See, that's the part right there. And who knows rather you come to the kingdom at a time like this? Like, don't think you're a queen for nothing. Right. Or don't think you're a queen just to save you think you so special. Everybody else is poor. You the one poor young lady that got pulled out. Don't think you're that special. You just like everybody else before. You just happen to be picked. And who knows if this is the reason why the Lord allowed you to be picked out of all those other beautiful women to be the queen. Right. All right, somebody pick up because I want you to pick up.
Verse 15.
Go ahead, Lord.
Come on, sir. And that's a heavy scripture for anybody who has any privilege in this kingdom.
Right. And go ahead. You're right. Go ahead. That's what we're going to go ahead. I'm glad you brought that out.
Come on, sir. Anybody who has any privilege in the system in this kingdom, it's not that you're better than your brother. You understand? You have to really consider: is it because the Lord put you in position to do something for your people?
And that's the thing. If y'all didn't hear the brother in the scripture, when the scripture is brought out, Mordecai told Esther, look, your people, millions of Israelites are about to be killed. You are the queen right now. I want you to go persuade your king to change their law and not have all of us killed. And who knows why you're the queen right now? This could be the reason why you're the queen right now. Right. And now how Warren was saying, the same thing with all the celebrities. Everybody who's a millionaire and got $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, almost a billionaire, all the way down to the they got a couple million. All of them are still kind of scared to say anything and speak up and save their people. Go ahead.
Because all the way down to the police chiefs,
right,
and the politicians. They're in all these high seats, but when it comes down to the oppression of black people, they're all silent.
Right, exactly. That's what the brother said. Like even you got politicians, you got all the way down to police chiefs and politicians, all the way up to successful black people who are multi-millionaires, 100 millionaires over to the billions. Who listen? You ain't the Lord. You got to realize that the Most High exists. And maybe the reason why you're rich is for you to help your people. Is to build a nation. And it's just not, and it's not, one-sided. You got poor and the rich, but a rich black person could not have the talent. Imagine our Latino brothers, how they can build a whole city and villages and countries. They can get that brick and mortar and build a whole mall within months. Right. The house will be up within months. Imagine, and they poor. Now imagine a righteous rich brother help the poor, and they can build a city and build cities for black people, Latino people. Build cities for Israel. That's how you're supposed to combine it. You got talent brothers. You got brothers who are plumbers and electricians and engineers. You got sisters who sew and they're accountants and got all kind of talents and they're lawyers and things of that nature. And then you have people who happen to be rich, and we support each other, and that together will build a nation. That's what. But today, in this world, we don't acknowledge it. We don't do that. We're too selfish, so we don't do it. Go ahead. But that's how you will build a nation. Who's reading? Kazak or yes. You need a who am I need to read? You good or can you read, Kazak?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Come. Esther chapter 4, verse 15. Mm-hmm. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer: go gather together all the Jews that are present in Shushan, and fast ye for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days.
Right, so ask Mordecai, look, grab people who are Shoshana right now, and y'all fast for me.
Right.
Because what I'm about to do, I can get killed. Because it's illegal for someone to just come to the king. He has to call you. Anybody that just comes in front of the king and try to say anything to him can be killed. Unless he holds out his golden scepter and say, I allow him or her to come on in and speak to me. And Esther can be killed for that. That's why she asked the people in Shushan, look fast for me for what I'm about to do, because this takes a lot of courage. And pray that I do not die for doing what I'm about to do.
Right.
That I'm not pray that I do not die for what Mordecai ordered me to do. Go ahead.
Come. I also and my maidens will fast likewise.
All right, me and my maidens, we're gonna fast too. Because this right here, we're gonna need the Lord on our side. Go ahead.
Come. And so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law.
See, it's not according to the law. You can't just go up to the king like that. Just like the president. Can anybody just like? Why do you think they got a gate around the White House? Right. They used to be able to just walk up to the Capitol. Now they got a gate around the Capitol because of crazy rednecks. But you can't. But that White House has always been gated and always been protected. You can't just walk up in that White House and go to the Oval Office and knock on the door.
Right.
Can't do that. Go ahead.
Come. Which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish.
See, and if I perish, I perish. Imagine today, like, somebody is favored by who's in office right now? Biden. Somebody's favored by Biden, but right now they're outside of the White House and they gotta hop that gate. The Lord gotta be with you if you don't get shot for hopping that gate. But I'm gonna hop this gate, or I'm gonna get through this gate and pray that I do not perish. Pray that I don't get killed, and I make it to Biden so I can ask him what Mordecai requires me. Go ahead.
Come. Verse 17. So Mordecai went his way and did according to all that Esther had commanded him.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Esther chapter 5, verse 1. Now it came to pass on the third day that Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house.
So now Esther got all good and beautiful, like sisters do. Sisters put their dress on and they jewels and everything, and look how they look amazing. She put it on and she said, I'm gonna step to the king. Go ahead.
Come. Over against the king's house, and the king sat upon his royal throne in the royal house, over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight.
And that's how it be. You see a bad sister, you can't help yourself. You gotta have, like, when you see a beautiful woman, or you see a woman that you're attracted to. Sometimes you gotta, even with experience, you like take a breath. So you don't embarrass yourself. You're like, because I know if I talk to her right now, I might start stuttering. I might start babbling. Hey, how's your day? Let me try to get my words together. So that's how it be. So now he see this woman, and he's like, man, there she go. Go ahead. What did you say? Man, go ahead.
Oh, God. Verse 2. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, that she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand.
He said, come on. What's up? What's going on here? Go ahead.
Come. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king unto her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? And what is thy request?
He said, how can I help you, baby? What do you need? Go ahead.
Come. Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed.
He said, even to the half of the kingdom, anything is going to be done. You can have whatever you like.
Right.
That's how it was. That's how it be.
Right.
Go ahead.
And Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman come this day unto the banquet.
And that's all sisters got to do. Sister, you ain't got to be. You got to understand, like, a man is masculine.
Right.
You can't. the evil lesson that America teaches our women is to be masculine back. And they don't understand that that's just gonna make us want to be aggressive back. It's like two brothers. Like if I, say something disrespectful to Barack, to Gazak, he was like, his face gonna frown up. What? Just like, what? He gonna be hold on, one second. What you say? And then me and he'll upset. That's two masculine energies. Right. We gonna start arguing with one another. Right. But now, a sister come up to Gazak. He might be upset or he's not upset, but because of her energy, her being feminine, it'll take it. He won't be a tough. He won't be tough. He won't be tough. Like, you want some bud? You want some biscuit? You want some cornbread? Oh. Like, what you doing here? Like, don't let no brother see me acting like this around. That's the power of a woman. It's beautiful to look. You're supposed to have a man wrap around your finger. Right. If you do it the right way. Right. That's the thing. Right. You can do it. The Lord gave you all the power to do it rightfully. Right. You got a better master. It ain't being aggressive. Right. Go ahead.
It's like, if I may, sir, in the world, I used to say this all the time, where I called it the Incredible Hulk syndrome. Where it was like, I used to tell sisters, I'm like, I'm like the Incredible Hulk. You come at me with that aggressive rah-rah garbage, it's like shooting the Incredible Hulk. All he did was get bigger and tougher. Yeah. But that soft, sweet thing is what made him turn from a green monster back to a man.
Right. Just like King Kong. King Kong is knocking down all the buildings. And some little white woman can calm him down. Right. That's crazy. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 6, and the king said unto Esther at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition?
Right. So the first thing, she was like, I just want to have a banquet, king. Sure. And he said, unto anything that will be done unto the half of the kingdom. Right. Go ahead. So now she's throwing a banquet. Go ahead.
And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request?
Right. Once again, listen, whatever you want, baby. You can have it. Go ahead.
Right. Even to the half of the kingdom it shall be performed. Mm-hmm. Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I have found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition and to perform my request, let the king and Haman come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them. Right. And I will do tomorrow as the king hath said.
Right. So now, my petition is that, listen, you and Haman come to my banquet. I'm going to have this big, nice, beautiful party for you. I want you and Haman to come. And then at that party, I'm going to tell you what I need from you. Right. Or what I require. Right. Go ahead.
Okay. Verse 9. Then went Haman forth that day joyful with a glad heart.
Once again, listen, Haman is the one who was so proud that everybody bowed down to him except for one. He was angry with Mordecai. So now since Mordecai didn't bow to him, he want all of them killed. Once again, he's proudful again. Right. Now he has brought a banquet, and the queen is inviting him. Like, man, the queen had a party for me. He's so this Agagite was so damn proud. Right. Go ahead.
Oh God. But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation.
Now he angry again. Imagine you get some good news, like some good whatever, the best news is for you. Like you're happy, and then something happened, or you see somebody, and then your face you smiling, and now you frowning again. Right. You blown, like you just was happy, like you hit the damn lotto or whatever. Right. You just got a new car or a new house or something, or a celebration. You might have a celebration for something, but it's for you. And you walk in and you got pep in your step. You happy as hell. You see that Mordecai, you see that Benjamite, that devout Benjamite to the most side. You're like, this, yeah. Oh my God, I need him dead, man. Right. He not trying to bow to me. Go ahead.
Against Mordecai, verse 10. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself.
Nevertheless, like, you know what? Man, I got somebody. The queen's gonna fight for me, so you know what? I'm gonna deal with him later on. I ain't worried about him. Let me go get ready, man. Right. I got a party to attend to. I ain't worried about him right now.
Right.
I'm gonna deal with him later on. Go ahead.
And when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife.
Right. He said he told his homeboys. He told his woman. Go ahead.
Oh God. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches.
Right. He said, "Look, I'm rich. The king got me, put me in a position, and the queen having a party for me. I'm a man. I feel good. Go ahead."
And the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him.
Right.
And how he had advanced him above the princes.
Right. He telling him all the promotions. I got this promotion. I'm over the princes now. I'm rich. Go ahead. He tell his children, his wife, and his friends, we made it.
Right.
Hey, we made it.
Right.
Go ahead.
And servants of the king. Verse 12. Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did not let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself.
Listen, he said this. Listen, the queen she having a party, she having a banquet, and nobody can come in except for come in yet until the king and myself walk in. We gotta walk in first, then everybody else will come in. He feel good. He feel like the man. Go ahead.
Oh God. And tomorrow am I invited unto her also with the king.
And tomorrow I'm invited to the party to chill with them. I'm up there. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Yet all this availeth me nothing.
He said, "Yeah, see, you see how proud he is? That your pride got him killed, man. You are rich. You are in a high. The king gave you a high position, and you got all these accolades and things like that. But all your riches and your position means nothing to you because there's one Benjamite, there's one Israelite won't bow to you. Imagine that. Imagine Kamala Harris. She's vice president, but she doesn't care that she's vice president because the UPK don't like her. Right. The black man don't like her. That's just how this even is. It's like, why you so upset about that? It's your pride. Read on out.
Come on, God. Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai, the Jew, sitting at the king's gate.
All this don't mean nothing. The high position I got, the riches I have, don't mean nothing. As long as I keep saying that damn Jew, that damn Mordecai, everybody bound for me when I come into the palace, except for him. He's a thorn in my side, man. Go ahead.
Verse 14. Then said Zeresh, his wife, and all his friends unto him, let a gallows be made of 50 cubits high, and tomorrow speak thou unto the king, that Mordecai may be hanged thereon.
Right, so now his friends just say, you know what? Why don't you hang Mordecai? Hang him. Get some gallows, make a tall gallows, prepare for him, and hang him tomorrow after the banquet. Go ahead.
Then go thou and marry with the king unto the banquet.
Then hang him, and then go to that party and celebrate. After you hung Mordecai, go turn up. Go turn up after you hang him tomorrow. Go ahead. Hey, pick up our water.
And the thing pleased Haman.
And the thing pleased, he said, you know what? That sounds right. That sounds good. Hang him tomorrow, and then go turn up. Hell of a celebration. Kill my enemy and go get drunk. Sounds good to me. Go ahead.
Come. And he caused the gallows to be made. Esther, chapter 6, verse 1. On that night could not the king sleep, and he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles, and they were read before the king.
Right. So that night he couldn't. So that night the king couldn't sleep. Go ahead. And then he wanted to go over the book of records. Go ahead.
Come. And it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthana and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains, the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king Ahasuerus.
So now sometime later, one night the king is because he restless, so he trying to do something since he's up. He's like, man, you know what? Let me go through my records. You look at the records, and boom, The record comes up when Mordecai saved his life. Mordecai warned Esther and his servants that, look, 2 of your chambers are trying to kill you. That was written down in the book of records. Go ahead. That's a very important part. So the keys that's in the book of Esther is Esther being chosen as a queen, and her not forgiving her people because she's queen. She could have went the other way and said, "Oh, I'm rich now," and forgot about her people, but she didn't do that. And now the other key was this: Mordecai. It was written in the book of records that sometime before Mordecai saved the king's life because two of his servants conspired to kill him.
Right.
And now that he opened the book of records on one restless night, and he's seen that in the book. So now he want to do something about it. He's like, "Oh man, this person saved my life. I never rewarded him." Go ahead, Wadi.
Come. Verse 3. And the king said, "What honor and dignity have been done to Mordecai for this?"
So he said, "Look, so what was the reward? Anybody give him any honor? Imagine you're the king, somebody saved your life, but you don't remember, or you just want to find out, did this person get paid for tipping us off about somebody trying to assassinate me?"
Right.
Go ahead and read.
Come. Then said the king's servants that ministered unto him, "There is nothing done for him."
There was nothing done. The king's servants said, "Man, everybody paid him, man. Yeah. No, there was nothing that was done for him, sir. Salaki." Go ahead. What do you want to say, bro?
I just want to make a statement that I love what was done there with, just so happened.
It just so happened.
With the
Lord.
It was something already in place. She was going to ask the king. Mm-hmm. And before that could happen, someone else, had something they wanted to do as far as hanging Mordecai. But the Most High is the best planner because with that happening, he turned around and made the king restless that night, and he just happened just to go through the book of records because he was restless, out of chance.
Right.
But it wasn't out of chance.
That was the Lord. Go ahead.
Come.
Mm-hmm.
And the king said, "Who is in the court?" Now Haman was come into the outward court of the king's house to speak unto the king to hang Mordecai on the gallows that he had prepared for him.
Right. So now there's two things that's about to happen. Haman has the gallows ready for Mordecai because Mordecai won't stand for him. So he's like, "Man, I'm getting ready to hang this dude." But now the king's saying, remember, seeing Mordecai's record and want Mordecai to be rewarded. Go ahead. So that's one dude want him killed, but the king don't want him to be killed. The king want him to be rewarded. Go ahead.
Come. And the king's servant said unto him, "Behold, Haman standeth in the court." And the king said, "Let him come in." So Haman came in, and the king said unto him, "What shall be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor?"
This is important. This is funny as hell too. Go ahead and read.
Come. Now Haman thought in his heart, "To whom would the king delight to do honor more than to myself?"
See, not to himself. He's proudful. He's so damn proudful. The key thinks the king is talking about him. The king asked him, what did the king ask him was the question?
To whom would the king delight to do honor more than myself?
Right. So who would I delight to honor more than myself? He ain't be like me, other than you, myself. He said that in his mind. Right. Go ahead.
Come. Mm-hmm. And Haman answered the king, "For the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king useth to wear."
Right. So now the king said, "Look, the royal apparel that I wear, bring my clothing forth." Go ahead.
Come.
Mm-hmm.
And the horse that the king rideth upon, and the crown royal which is set upon his head.
And bring my horse and my crown. Go ahead, warrior.
That's such the spirit of an East Indian. East Indians, I know them. They love this honor and glory, and they all try to act all humble, but they love to be glorified. So he wants to put in the garments of the king himself.
Right. He want to wear the king's crown, the king's garments. He want to be king. He already so close to the king, but he want to be king. He's so powerful.
I'm just hearing that. I'm hearing what's asking in the East Indian accent as well.
Go ahead.
Verse 9. And let this apparel and horse be delivered to the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with whom the king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city.
But Haman's so proud, he think he about to get the horse. He thinks he's about to wear the king's apparel. Nuh-uh. It ain't you. Go ahead.
And proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor.
Right. Go ahead.
Come. Then the king said to Haman, make haste and take the apparel and the horse, as thou hast said, and do even so to Mordecai the Jew, that sitteth at the king's gate. Let nothing fail of all that thou hast spoken.
His mouth probably dropped.
Right.
Man, he just built gallows to get Mordecai hung, because Mordecai would not bow to him.
Right.
But now the king opened up the records and seen that Mordecai tipped him off about somebody trying to assassinate him, and he was not rewarded yet. So the king said, "Nah, this man gotta be rewarded, man, for saving my life." And he told Haman, "Go give Mordecai a horse and my apparel." Mordecai was looking like, "Yo, what?" Go give go give the man a horse and apparel. The man who don't bow to me.
Right.
Go give him a high position. He is sad. He is angry. He is all that. Go ahead.
Come. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai.
What chapter verse you at?
Chapter 6, verse 11.
Okay. Go ahead, read.
Come. Then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed before him, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, and having his head covered. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fail, fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but shalt surely fall before him.
Right. You ain't listen. If Mordecai gets this position and this reward from the king, you ain't gonna hang him. You gonna have to bow down to him, or you gonna die. Imagine that he stood up. Now you're gonna have to bow to him. Right. And we're gonna jump to. So we're gonna jump to chapter 7, verse 5, and this is when we're gonna do a little. Then we're gonna go on. This is when Esther let the king know about the decree that he signed to get all the Israelites killed, and now she's trying to, cancel that decree. Go ahead, brother, pick up for me. Chapter 7, verse 5.
Esther, chapter 7, verse 5. Then the king, Ahasuerus, answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he, and where is he, that does presume in his heart to do so?
Right. So now Esther is saying, look, it's an evil man who's trying to get my people killed. And now the king is saying, where is he at? Who is this man that did this evil thing? Who is that? Who trying to get your people killed? Go ahead.
Verse 6. And Esther said, the adversary and enemy is this wicked Haman.
Right. So the king said, who trying to get your people killed? What can I do about it? And she said, and now she said, look, he the enemy, it's Haman. It's him. Right. Go ahead.
Then Haman was afraid before the king and the queen.
Now he's like, oh, who been and pissing on himself? He don't know what to do. Go ahead.
Verse 7. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen.
Right. So now the king is angry. The king didn't even make a decision yet. But the king was angry. But he went to the garden to probably go think and meditate on that thing. Like, you just found out, okay, this person that you gave position, he's trying to get your queen's people killed. So now the king, like, he mad, like, he pits him, but he goes into the garden trying to decide what he's going to do. Go ahead. But while he's in the garden trying to make a decision, read on.
And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther the queen, right. For he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king.
Right. So he think he about to get killed, so he's trying to plead for his life to Esther now. Go ahead.
Verse 8. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed whereon Esther was.
Now Esther was at the bed. And now, Esther's sitting in the bed or laying in the bed, and Haman is at her bed floor, bowing and laying like, please, please. Go ahead.
Then said the king.
Then the king walks up and see this man near his woman, like in the woman, like by the woman's bed. Oh, Salaki.
He grabbed onto her and fell on the bed.
It's like he's actually on the bed. He pleading. He like, please. But it looks like when the king walked in, it looked like something else. Right. What the hell is you doing? Like, hold on. Like, you grabbed onto my woman on the bed? He's nuts out of his mind. He's not even thinking. He's just trying to do anything not to get killed. Because he knows he's about to be killed. Right. Go ahead.
Then said the king, will he force the queen also before me in the house?
He said, now you trying to break my woman? You trying to have sex with my woman in the house now? In front of me? First you try to kill her people. Now you trying to have sex with my lady. Now the king like, you trying to rape my woman? What are you doing? Go ahead.
As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face.
As soon as he did that, and the king probably could have, came back after he went into the garden and cooled off and cooled his mind. He probably came back and like, look, Haman, that was evil what you done. He probably could have let him live, but just took away his authority, and he would have just lived. But the brother, not the brother, the heathen's so afraid and scared. He grabbed onto the sister and fell, and they fell on the bed. And now he walks in on them, and it looks like something else. And so that was a wrap after that. It wasn't even no thinking. He was like, you know what? As soon as the word went out of his mouth, bag goes over his head. Imagine that. Some old medieval movies where you see people get hung, but they would be walking to the gallows with a sack on their head. That's that bag. That sack went right over his head. Or just like in the movies now. You get that black bag over their head and thrown in the black truck. That's exactly what that was. Go ahead. Go ahead, bro. Flip that hand.
So I was going to say that mask, that's covering up his face. That's the death mask. Right?
Yeah, they do it. He does. Yes. Yes, that's what that is. Go ahead.
Verse 9. And Harbona, one of the chamberlains, said before the king, behold also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman had made for Mordecai, who had spoken good for the king.
He said, listen, not only that, listen, Haman has gallows out here that was made for Mordecai. And Mordecai was a dude that saved your life. He tried to kill a man that saved your life. That's a mean sight. That's a mean sight. It's like you create something to kill somebody else, and you want to get bagged, and then they say, you know what, I can't. And this is I was waiting outside for someone to be killed. Right. But he your man now. Right. You might as well use this on him. Go ahead.
Who has spoken good for the king, standeth in the house of Haman.
Right.
Then the king said, hang him thereon.
And the king said, you know what? He tried to hang Mordecai. Nah, hang him. Hang him. Go ahead.
Verse 10. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai.
Most High Christ. This right here, this is something to remember. Instead of damn Christmas, man. Right. It have nothing to do with this. Some pagan holiday. Easter, who's about worship, which is about worship of a fertility goddess. It has nothing to do with black people or our God, Yahweh. It has nothing to do with our culture. But this right here was a memorial and to remember a time when we was almost killed by one arrogant heathen, but the Lord was on our side. You know what I'm saying? The Lord, you know how the keys were just set up like chess, like a beautiful sister who could win the heart of the king, a brother who seen that two men that was in service was going to assassinate him. So he seen that and warned the king about it. And now the king went seen it in the records and now give him a reward. Shalom, Caveat Star. So you get what I'm saying? Like this story is way beautiful than some Thanksgiving or Easter or any other American holiday. You get what I'm saying? Let's remember these PURIM, Passover, Feast of Dedication, Feast of Tabernacles, man, and all the other high holy days and memorials and days of remembrance that's in the Bible. And we're gonna pass the class to preaching officer.
I.S.U.P.K security announcements. We are the I.S.U.P.K out of 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under command YAHANNA. New rules for new brothers and sisters. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to the brother or sister. There's another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After the 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Y.A.H.W.H in the Hebrew. You can find this in Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. It means 10th in the Hebrew, 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. You give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund is free will offering and is not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you'd like to give. Upcoming holy convocations, we have the Passover coming up in Houston. So you want to say anything about it?
Yeah, so the Passover is going to be $200 per person over 17.
17 and over.
17 and over. Or 17 and over. You can pay it bit by bit. I will be calling all y'all brothers and to get an update weekly to see how's everything going. Like if you need help getting down there or how you saving up money and everything like that. Plane tickets are going down on cheap right now, but we want to. The important part is to pay the Passover fund first, but you can pay it bit by bit. Go ahead, brother. No, brother Jose.
I'm just saying about the transportation. Me and Dwayne, we driving down there, so already that officer is out. If anybody need to ride,
you can drive 19 hours.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Hours. Okay. Oh, okay.
We good to go.
Anything for the most time. Remind Akim and Akbatyan to check on social media such as ISUPK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for I.S.U.P.K events in Ontario.
And also tomorrow, we close on the Feast of PURIM. We're going to do some Baltimore. So yeah, we're going to head up to Baltimore. We're going to go to Baltimore tomorrow. All right? For the Feast of PURIM. And for the Passover, the Passover is a full week. We all could go down there from Monday and help out. I know Thursday they're doing the lamb slaughter. And Friday there's a kids party. Friday evening there's, I think you have to have some other party for people coming in at some mansion. They have Saturday's the Passover. Sunday is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And I believe Monday is another day y'all could chill too. So it's going to be a full week. But that's to show you the Passover fund is important. Send that in early before you give Delta your money and the hotels. Send that Passover money in because it's a full week that horses you're going to be able to ride, you're going to be able to fish on the ranch that the Passover going to be on. Right. You know what I mean? And you're going to be able to reserve lamb and sheep and cows at the lamb slaughter. You got to pay for that extra though, but the whole thing is going to be arranged. So make sure send your funds in ASAP, all right?
If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, you should start wearing all black which includes black boots, black shirts, black pants, black headbands, and black war scarves. With that, we'll say Amajum, which means stand. Come. One point YAHANNA, which means turn the face to east. We'll do the Lord's Prayer first in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shabbat Shemayim, Wadash, Hayah, Shumka, Yahweh, Malakwa, Taba'ah, Bazayaka, Hayah, I.S.U.P.K, Ba'aratazah, Hayah, Bashamayim, the Come, Cow, Yawam, Wasalakinawa,
In English, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. In earth. As it is in heaven. Give us this day. Our daily bread. And forgive us of our debts. As we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation. But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom. And the power. And the glory. Forever. So be it.
That was a song. Sisters, have a seat. Men of Israel, we'll give one currency to the t-shirt. Men of Israel, Imajum Shabbat, Imajum Barak,
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yahushua. Saw. Sisters, stand. We'll give one courtesy salute to sisters. Men of Israel, Imajum Shabbat, Imajum Barak,
Yahweh Shema Alatham Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Shalak, if you want to say Yahweh Shema Alatham Ba'ashem Yahushua. Shalak, Ba'ashem Yahushua.
Dismiss.
The Lord loved us so much that in our poverty, in our hell, I will come and deliver the broken, destroyed, messed up, poor, impoverished people. I'm going to.
Yo niggas ain't tough. Yo niggas ain't tough.
Hey, Shalom Israel. Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Barakatah. Yahweh Shema Alathah Ba'ashem Yahushua to all the sisters, man. Listen, it's Captain 13,000, a card of a rhyme, checking in with the Israelite School of UPK under Commander Junior Hunter.
You know we not no cowards. Oh, you on that?
Listen, man, this year's 52nd annual Passover. Hold on. I'm gonna say it one more time. This year's 52nd annual Passover under Commander Junior Hunter under the I.S.U.P.K. Couldn't do it last year. Y'all already know the Lord had his foot on our oppressor's neck.
Here in New York City, there are roughly 1,000 cases a day. Those are numbers they haven't seen since May.
Can't do it in New York this year because the Lord still got his foot on our oppressor's neck.
New York, the center of the outbreak this spring, is now teetering on another deadly explosion of the virus.
But listen to me good. This year, 52nd annual Passover, April 24th, 2021. You understand? It's going to be in H-Town, baby.
It's going to be at the B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Y'all know what we do. Y'all know what we came to do. Huh?
2021 I.S.U.P.K. 52nd annual Passover. All the generals gonna be there. All the heavy hitters gonna be there. The daughters of Zion gonna step out with their beautiful long dresses, you understand? Strong on deck. That One West style music on deck. 52nd annual Passover.
B&H Ranch, 14149 Players Street, Houston, Texas.
Get with it to get lost, man.
Got it out the mud, straight up out the base. The world done made me crazy. The world done turned crazy.
You dealing with the men